Tensions are growing in the Comox Valley between local governments and area First Nations. It is a familiar story in British Columbia and right now across the country. Members of the Comox First Nation are focusing on a small strip of land on the Comox Peninsula, a former burial ground that is surrounded by the Department of Defense. The band says the treaty allowing the DND to use that land has long since expired, and they say they're being denied access to the land that they say is sacred to them. A News reporter Gord Kurbis has the story.
And you can almost see right here the borders of the reserve. It's like a pie shape.
It's property the Comox First Nation says has been used by their community for more than a century. And now this land is at the center of a growing dispute.
It is a key location to the community. It has a lot of significant meaning to the community because it used to be a burial ground.
The property is near the western end of what's known as the Goose Spit, a peninsula that the Navy began using as a rifle range back in 1896. The band says it never gave permission for that use.
This has been going on for, I think, 114 years. After a long battle, about in the 40s, there was a lease signed for 10 years to allow DND use.
With that lease and the one renewal after that the band says is now expired, the people of the Comox First Nations were to have unrestricted access to the property. The problem is that it's surrounded by HMCS Quadra, a naval cadet training facility.
Well, 19 Wing very much cherishes its relationship with the Comox First Nation band, but our responsibility is to maintain a safe and secure environment for our personnel that work on our premises.
The secured facility means that First Nations persons, many who are elders, must walk around the facility to their land, or they can drive part way onto it on national defense property if proper identification and notice is given.
Any band member that produces the appropriate ID will be granted access through HMCS Quadra. Visitors of band members that do not have the same identification required to be announced.
In May of 2009, a band member showed up unannounced to the front gate with a visitor and a video camera rolling.
What's that camera out?
The band says this incident aside, they don't always get the access they're promised.
Many times in the past, we've been denied, even with our status cards. Sometimes with reason, a lot of times without.
The property in question, which is on the backside of HMCS Quadra, is vitally important to the people of the Comox First Nations. It's one of several pieces of land that are currently involved in treaty negotiations. But the band is making it very clear that if there is no deal with Quadra, there's no deal with any of the properties.
Ourselves, the Comox First Nation, BC and Canada, have been working really hard to get an agreement in principle, and without the return of the spit, that's basically a lot of work that's for nothing because our community has said loud and clear, no spit, no deal.
In its negotiations, the band is hoping to have a separate roadway constructed directly to the property, as well as having an adjoining piece of land signed over to it. The band is hoping to have the issue resolved by mid-November. Near Comox, Gord Kurbis, A News.